So many captaincy options this week and so little time to choose from them. Hey guys, my name is Muhammad. This is Heavy Metal FPL. Welcome to my YouTube channel. And in this video, I'm going to take you through the captaincy picks for Game Week 10. And I'm going to talk a little bit about premium options for your fantasy team. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. First of the 5 options that I've got here is Haaland. So a lot of people are thinking about selling Haaland or not captaining him or whatnot, but I still think he's a very good pick. I'm not one of those people. His price actually went down a little bit, which was a bit of a surprise to me because of his recent bad form in the Premier League. But he has scored 9 goals in the last 9 matches in the Premier League, and he recently scored 2 in Europe. He comes up against Man U, who have a weak defense. He'll be up against Maguire in that match. So that match is a bit unpredictable. You never know what might happen in a derby, but last season Man City won 6-3 against them at the Etihad. Granted, they play in Old Trafford, which for the same fixture last season, Man United actually won 2-1. But I think if Man City have control of that match, I don't think they'll take it easy on Man United. There is a bit of rivalry between those two teams, and I can see Man City, if they're having control of this match, to just run away with it and not hold back on scoring as many goals as possible. Second option, I think, is a very big shout for this week, and that's Salah. We don't there's not much to say which hasn't already been said about Salah. He's a great FPL pick. He's on penalties for Liverpool. They're in good form, and he's in good form. He scored 4 goals in the last 2 matches, and in Europe, he was rested in the last match yesterday. He only played for 20 minutes, and when he came on for 20 minutes, he actually scored a goal. So, brilliant pick, Salah, for this week, I think, and he's one of my biggest shouts for captain this week. Third is Son. He plays against Crystal Palace away. Not necessarily the easiest fixture out of the 5 over here, but Crystal Palace's record against Tottenham is woeful. They only won once out of the last 16 matches which they've played against Tottenham. Their last match against Tottenham was actually a 4-0 loss, which speaks very well for you if you want to be a bit different and you want to captain Son this week. Now, granted, when Crystal Palace played that match, they were managed by Patrick Vieira, and they've improved a lot since. But Tottenham have also improved as a team since last season. So you never know. Son can actually haul this game week. You never know about that. But thing is, for me, he's a bit unpredictable. I mean, he blanked against Luton, and he also blanked against Sheffield United this week. He scored against Fulham, and he scored against Liverpool, and he scored against Arsenal. So for me, you never know when he might haul, when he might blank. He's a bit unpredictable. He's very good for me in the long term, but for the short term, I don't trust him so much with captaincy, especially when you have much better options this game week. Fourth is Watkins, who actually I do trust if I had him in my team, but I don't, so he's worrying me a lot. He plays against Luton, which I think is one of the easiest fixtures in the Premier League. Now, we don't have much of a record for Aston Villa against Luton, but I want to show you something which is Aston Villa's home record. So this just displays all their matches this season in the Premier League and also in Europe. Now, if you look at that, it bodes very well for if you have Aston Villa players, and especially if you have Watkins. Aston Villa won 4-0 at home against Everton. They won 4-1 against West Ham just recently at home. And they also won 6-1 against Brighton. So if you've got Watkins in your team, he's a very, very good shout for captaincy this week. He played in the European fixture, but he was taken off a little bit early. So you never know how that might go. But I would back Aston Villa based on their home form this season. Now, the 5th option over here is Saka. He's also a very good shout. He's got a good fixture against Sheffield United at home. One thing I don't like about Saka is that he gave away his penalties in the last match. He gave one to Martinelli, and he gave one to, I think it was Jorginho. I forgot who he gave the penalty to in that match. But at home against Sheffield United is not a bad fixture at all. Last season they struggled a bit and they won them 2-1. But this season you never know. If there's a shout for a haul from Saka, it could be in this fixture. One other thing that concerns me about Saka is just that he's not well rested, and he could be rested soon. You never know with that. There's a lot of injury concerns about many different players, and Saka is one of them. You never know if he could be rested this week, given the fixture congestion for Arsenal. Now, with all of these facts in mind, if I was to rank these 5 options, I think I would do it something close to this. I think Salah and Watkins are definitely the best shouts. I'm worried about not having Watkins in my team, and I think a lot of people are going to be captaining him, and I think I'm just gonna, grit my teeth for their match against Luton and hope that I get covered by having Cash and Diaby and the other premium assets that are in my team. It was between Salah and Watkins for me as the best option. Like, I had Watkins up in my head as the favorite, but I think what edges Salah to me for this game is the fact that he's on penalties. Watkins is not on penalties for Aston Villa. Douglas Luiz is actually on penalties for them. So I think that's what edges it for Salah, in at least in my opinion. Saka is not so far behind in third. The reason why he's not so high up is because even though they play against Sheffield United, but there's many different options in attack for Arsenal who could also score, and he's giving away his penalty options. We're not sure, like, is he on penalties? Is he not on penalties? For Saka, he's on paper he is, but he's giving away his penalties, so you never know. You never know what might happen in there. Fourth or fifth is I think a tie between Son and Haaland. Son because he's very unpredictable as an asset. Even though he's in form, you never know who he's going to score against, and sometimes his easiest fixtures he doesn't do very well in them. And Haaland because he plays against Man United and the unpredictable nature of that match in itself. Okay, so I want to talk about the premium picks that we seem to have in our FPL season so far. I've listed them all here. I think you ought to have at least 5 of these players in your team so you can look good and you can build your team around those. I think all of these guys are an upgrade on everyone else in the FPL roster as of now. If I was to pick 2 of these that are closest to essential, I think it's Haaland and Salah. But I'm going to go through them one by one. Trippier, 7 million, really, really good. His fixtures are still really good, but they're getting a bit harder as of now. He's the best Newcastle pick, but he's at 7 million. You could potentially get another Newcastle defender as cover if you want to get one of these other ones and you prefer one of these other ones. You could get another Newcastle defender like Byrne. You could even get Lascelles. You can get someone like Tsimikas for Liverpool cover at very, very cheap right now because Robertson is injured. But yeah, Trippier very, very good in defense. He's possibly the best defensive pick in the game at the moment. Salah, closest to essential. I don't need to say so much about him. It's obvious. Watkins, really good form, on fire. I think he's the third just behind Salah and Haaland in terms of what you might consider essential. Though I don't have him in my team and I'm a bit worried about him. I'm hoping that basically having a lot of these other guys can cover me. I've got about the only ones I don't have from this are Watkins and Saka. And so I'm just hoping, basically, in order for me to get Watkins in my team, I would have to either sell Alvarez and Trippier, or I would have to sell Son. And I'm not happy about both of those. So that's the only reason I don't have him in my team. But I think if you have the option to go for him, then definitely do. If you prefer him over someone like Alvarez, and you feel like you can just upgrade from anyone else into him, he's definitely a very, very good shout. Haaland, not much for me to say over there. I know some people just want to sell him and everything, but I still think, look, Haaland, first of all, he's in very, very good form. And also, if he should hit form again, if he should just go on fire and make himself make himself to not be a single doubt whatsoever, then it'll be very hard for you to get him into your team if you sell him. So that's one of the factors. He's gonna have, down the line, he's gonna have a double game week, and I think everyone is gonna want him for those. And he's also gonna have some easy fixtures, not right now, but down the line. And if you don't have him in your team, then I think you might regret it, especially if he hits really, really red hot form. He's not necessarily in red hot form right now, but he's still ticking along very nicely with the stats that he's showing, and his underlying statistics, his expected goals and his expected assists are really, really good. He's getting into good positions. He might be missing some chances, but he's still getting the opportunities. And I think Haaland, for me, he's a no sell whatsoever, and he might be a good captaincy options and a good captaincy option in the upcoming game weeks. Alvarez is someone that a lot of people are looking at. If they don't have Holland in their team, they're hoping to cover those Man City options. They cover themselves for Man City by having Alvarez instead of Holland. Now he's obviously a very very good shout. He was well rested in their European game, so you'd expect him to start in their upcoming match against Man United, obviously. Unless Pep comes up with some new shenanigans that we might not know about. But Alvarez, as far as Kevin De Bruyne, I think is injured. I think Alvarez is still a very, very good way into that Man City attack. Saka and Son and Madison are all in that sweet spot. I think it's just between Arsenal and Tottenham attackers at this point. Though it's a bit more complicated than that, I think, because Son and Madison, I know their fixtures are a bit harder than Arsenal's right now, but I still think if Tottenham are to do well in any match, I think it all goes through them. So it makes it very hard for me to sell someone like Son or Madison. And Son just being unpredictable, I think he's just such a good asset that he could score in any match. So I don't want to waste the transfer on selling him, even if it's for Saka. At least I don't want to do it right now. Maybe if Saka just goes crazy, I might think of doing it, but I would prefer to have all of these guys in my team. Honestly, if there's some way I could somehow manage to do that, I would love to have Saka in addition to Son. I wouldn't go for Son to Saka. I think it'll be a bit sideways, even if Saka has the easier fixtures. But these guys are, I think, a bit of a sweet spot right now, and I prefer to have all of them, and I wouldn't butcher my team in order to get to them, especially if it's a sideways move or if it's a -4 or -8. These guys, keep in mind, all of these guys, like I said before, they're an upgrade on everyone else in the FPL roster, but just be careful of who you're taking out before you get one in, and be careful of what you're doing to your team in general before you get them in. That covers me for this week, guys. If you like what I do, make sure to subscribe to my channel. If you want to know how you can enable having a lot of those premium picks in your FPL team, then make sure to watch this video on my budget midfield picks, which will help you a lot out with that. Good luck for the upcoming game week. I hope you all get green arrows, and for now I'm gonna bounce, and I will see you all later.